Alright, I gotta do another one of these. Actually, I gotta do quite a few just because of everything going on in the country now. Again, the reason I'm doing it like this is because I want it to be about what I'm saying, not, what I look like or anything else, because that's what Democrats do. They make it about anything else other than the facts, because they can't prove the facts. So, and also, you don't have to just sit and stare at the screen doing this. You can do your laundry or whatever and just listen. Not like the videos I got like millions of pictures and that you have to sit there and watch to catch everything. Anyways, I just have to say this because the liberals, Democrats, are about one hair from dragging this country into hell, and they've been working at it forever. I could go clear back to the original days, back with Jefferson and so on, but I'm just going to stick in our lifetime because the Democrats, any way they could twist the facts, make anything that's right wrong, anything that's wrong right, that's what they do. They always have been, just that's who they are. So even within my lifetime, I'll just go back as far as Carter. Carter did everything he could to destroy this country and almost succeeded. This country is about to hit the dirt, and Reagan got in and saved us. Of course, they want to twist the facts of everything and that, but they can't deny what actually happened. As soon as Carter was in, forever ago, I'll just step back a little bit just because of what it led up to with Iran and the hostages being taken in Iran. Iran only had oil because the British and Americans went in and found that they had oil because back in I think like 40s, during World War II time, Iran was having a famine and everybody was starving to death. And they called to England because England was developed, in America, for them to come in and figure out how to grow food. Well, England went in and American, ecologists went in and said, yeah, look, your land's cursed. And, you can't tell them. You can't tell Muslims that, look, you're doing what Satan wants. That's why you're cursed. God's turned his back on you. So they told them, look, growing food on your ground is, not easy because, well, they just told Iran, look, that's the deal. I don't know how far they went into, look, you got to follow Christ or you're, that's how it's always going to be. It's just going to get worse. But they told them, look, but we found that you have oil. And Iran was like, nah, there's no way in hell. We don't have oil. And England said, yes, you do. We have found all of the elements that prove that you have oil. And Iran was like, screw you, get out, whatever, just because they're ignorant. Islam has fought its whole eternity to live like cavemen, and still to this day, that's what, that's a whole other thing I could do something on. But, anyways, England said, look, we will spend the money, come in, drill, and if we find it, we'll split the profits, okay? Well, as soon as Iran heard, hey, you do all the work, and you bring the materials and everything, and we're going to get paid for it? Okay, cool. So England comes in at first, they dig, find oil, then Americans came after, and, same deal, and start setting up these oil refineries. And they had a contract with the Iranians, they made them sign it. So the leaders at that time in Iran stuck to the contract. They didn't want to. Once oil started coming, getting refined and sent out and sold, they wanted to turn on America, but internationally they couldn't do it. So they stuck with it until those first leaders were out of office. Now the second round said, hey, screw these guys. They're not Muslims. What are we doing letting them make profit off our land? So they rose up, a little while before, it was a while before Ayatollah Khomeini came to power. They rose up and kicked the Americans and English out, but none of them knew how to refine oil or, do any of it, run a refinery. So the whole thing just sat there dead. All the machinery, all the parts and everything. And England said, well, if you're going to kick us out, we're going to come in and take every piece of metal and scrap and bolt and that we have there, because that's ours. And it was a standoff forever. Anyways, not a drop of freaking Iranian oil got out again because no one would buy and they didn't know how to refine it and do anything. So finally, the people rose up and were screaming, come back, to us, America and England, to start the oil refineries again. So to make a long story short, we did what we had to do for the people, because that's what it's always for. It's for the people. We took out the leaders at the time and put in the Shah. and everything started up again, and Iran was doing 100 times better. In fact, even better than it is today. At least as far as the people are concerned. How life is for the people. Now, the Shah was flat out evil. He's another one of those guys we put into power, tried to back him, and the guy turns on us. But back then, America used to stand by its policies no matter what. That's how we got stuck behind these satanic dictators. There again, all Muslim. Like, what's his name in Egypt? Can't even remember his name. And the Shah and whoever else, Chile. We put these people in power to try to fix the country. Then these freaking leaders turn on us. And then we end up in this situation that's like hideously bad, but we're trying to keep it from going worse. And, that's the reason we even stand behind these. But, there again, that's a whole nother subject. So the Shah gets in, he starts hauling people off the street. Of course, the Muslim leaders are trying to undermine him. So he's hauling people off the street and torturing them and so on, to stay in power. And everything falls apart, and the Shah runs to America. And now Carter, he takes the Shah under his bosom and protects him. Carter knew all of the sins or all the deeds that the Shah had pulled, all of the, mass rapes his people had been committing, yanking girls off the street and gang raping them, his actual staff, the Shah, and the murders and the torture and so on. Well, Carter holds on to him and covers for him. So, of course, Iran says, hey, you're going to cover for this guy? We know you know what he's done. Well, you know what? We're going to hold your hostages until we get him back. And that's something the liberal media, here again, liberals wouldn't put out. They're like, oh, look, Iran has our hostage, has our embassy people, held hostage. They wouldn't say what it was about. And this is what they do. They always tell the one part that they want to tell for their own personal whatever. And it's what they did with Nixon, because back in Nixon's time, being gay was a death sentence as far as being a politician goes. And so they were putting out, day and night, Nixon's gay, and he has boyfriends on the side, and he does hookers, and he does drugs. I mean, the press, it was just ridiculous. The people weren't as on it then, so the press was able to be able to do more. Now with the internet, the press can get busted, because the people can look stuff up. Where back then you couldn't. You just, whatever you got told in the newspapers, that was it. And on TV news at night. And there was only 3 channels then, CBS, NBC, ABC. So if you didn't get it from those 3 places in your local newspaper, you didn't get it. So, excuse me, I'm sick. So Nixon has his guys, invade or whatever you call it, break into the Watergate to find out truthful stuff. And all they did was just pick a lock and they were walking around. That's it. They didn't even get into anything. They just barely. It's like if someone picked the lock to your apartment or your house and was walking around. Okay, you get them for breaking and entering, but that's it. And Nixon, being common sense stupid, he was policy smart, but common sense stupid, did what he did and got himself kicked out of the White House. But the Democrats, their sins have been so much greater, it's not even funny. Like Biden, in 1983, because the terrorism was just getting started. Carlos the Jackal was killing people all over the place. He had, I think it was an international cabinet somewhere like in France, or maybe it was, I don't know, I'm trying to remember, maybe Jordan. Anyway, somewhere on the other side of the Atlantic, where he had his guys bust in the doors and kill everyone. It might have been in The Hague, in the Netherlands. And this is like having, let's say we have 10 of the world's top leaders, excluding maybe, America and England, and a terrorist group breaks in and kills them all. That's what this was. There again, the media covers this up. They bury it, make sure you can't find it. But if you get the movie, The Assignment, which I don't know if you can get on DVD, they got it in Europe, sells big time in Europe, but in America, there again, I think the politicians, the Democrats, had something to do with this to get that movie taken out, because it's actually a really good movie. But it's a true story about an American Navy officer going undercover to catch this Carlos the Jackal. And it's a true story. And anyway, so Reagan sends our Marines over to Beirut to track this guy down, and anybody else, that want to follow in his shoes. Biden Joe Biden tells the terrorists, look, all you have to do is get a bunch of our guys killed and we'll leave. We'll leave you alone. And then you can do whatever you want. Sure enough, I mean, it was within the week, 3 days or something like that. A huge truck bomb, might have been the first of its kind, blasted through the fence, drove into the building that our, the Marines were sleeping in, and blew up the building and killed like 246 of our Marines and 100 something of French, because we had a few other, another country or two in there. Anyways, and killed them all. Well, a week or so later, and I remember seeing this on the internet, the Washington Journal, asked Biden, they said, hey, look what you did. You told the terrorists just kill a bunch of our guys, and, we'll leave. And Biden's like, yeah, hell yeah, I did. It succeeded, didn't it? And they're like, dude, you're guilty of having our Marines killed. And Biden's like, well, you think we're going to let Reagan succeed at anything? I mean, how are we going to get the White House back? If he succeeds, we'll never get the White House back. That is how Democrats are. I got a whole list here, and believe me, I don't have enough time, and neither do you, of everything that's gone on, even just in our lifetime. Even from the littlest thing to the biggest thing. They don't care if Americans get murdered, whether it's like Extortion 17, Obama setting up 38 Navy SEALs and telling the terrorists, look, I'm going to make this plane fly low so you can't miss. Just get one of your RPGs. It's going to be loaded with Navy SEALs. Here's the time it's going to take off. The airport it's going to take off. The whole thing is a total freaking setup. Now, what's happening now? They are burying the investigation any way and every way they can, which is what they do with everything, to make sure they get away with it. They get away with murder. Obama, the fact that he's not on death row is ridiculous. They kicked Nixon out of office, drove him out of office, because that's one thing with Democrats. They will hold on until they get the guy out of office. But when it comes to their person, they will circle the wagons and cover, and no matter what they did, it's okay, it doesn't matter, it's right. They are flat out Satanists. They do exactly what Satan wants someone to do. No one has to have videotape of them at some satanic meeting, kneeling to some, statue of Satan. All you have to do is look at what they do. It's like Christ said, an apple tree is known by its fruit. It's known as an apple tree because it gives off apples. Same with an orange or whatever. Satan is, all you have to do is look at what they would do and look at what the Democrats do. And, if it walks like a Satanist, talks like a Satanist, acts like a Satanist, it's Satanist. And, the crimes just go on forever, because we're talking about flat out crimes. We're talking stuff like the Democrats have been fighting forever for the murderer and the rapist and whatever he is, the perpetrator, not the victim. The victim doesn't matter. They don't ever mention the victim. The only time they mention the victim is when they have to. And then they'll say something like, well, it's not that we want everyone to get raped or murdered, but, you can't prosecute someone if the prosecuting attorney forgot to put a dot at the end of a sentence. Technicality, we have to get them off. That's Democrats invented that. That's, every step of the way, getting rid of the death sentence, anything they can do to make sure that those who commit even the worst of crimes gets off with it or has life at least as nice as possible. If you look up Richard Speck, this guy's one of the worst serial killers we've had, in this country. And they did everything they could to make sure his life was as nice as possible, because everything's the law, which is how Satan works. It says in the Bible, don't go to man's law, because man's law is where Satan lives. And he does, because through man's law, mass people have gotten off with mass rapes, murders. Ted Bundy was allowed to run free forever. They kept arresting him and letting him out. Same with Jeffrey Dahmer, same with John Wayne Gacy. They could smell the bodies in the basement of John Wayne Gacy's house. The smell was so bad, the neighbors are like, you gotta be freaking kidding. You can't even do nothing about the smell. Democrats are in there, and believe me, Satanists are everywhere. They're in the police force, they're in the legal system, they're judges, because the judges were like, nope, you can't insult him. Don't you dare go do anything he doesn't want. It's against his constitutional right. It's like, what constitutional right says that you are allowed to bury bodies in your basement and no one's allowed to even ask about it or go check? It wasn't until finally some cop, I can't remember the name, there's movies about it, just went ahead against the chief of police and the judge and just freaking, went in there and had John Wayne Gacy arrested and got in that freaking basement and just started digging. First time they went in there, they weren't even allowed to really dig. They were just able to look. So as long as John Wayne Gacy had the bodies covered in this crawl space underneath his house, that was okay. It wasn't until he just went in there with, I think, a forensic scientist when it was first starting then, and just started digging. And then the judge couldn't say nothing. But they did everything they could, the Democrats, to make sure John Wayne Gacy got away and just kept on raping and murdering everyone he could. And that's the ultimate thing with Democrats. They are always fighting to make sure the worst thing happens, as long as it happens to somebody else. And they got this thing, this is how stupid they are. They think if they climb in bed with other Satanists, like Islam, that they'll be left alone. They'll be free. I guess Satan's given them some sort of assurance, which, he's the ultimate liar there is. It even says in the Quran that their God, which they call Allah, which is Satan, is the greatest deceiver there is. That's straight out of Muhammad's mouth. And to us that know Christ and who Lucifer is, we know that Lucifer is the greatest deceiver. Well, they call their God the greatest deceiver, which is true because their God is Lucifer. But the Democrats think when Lucifer lies to them, when he tells them something that, hey, I'll cover for you, you won't ever die, nothing will happen to you, just keep doing my stuff. They think that's how it is. They think that's real. It's unbelievable, but whatever. They're getting paid for it now, and they think it's going to last forever, and it's not. But, let me try to go through a list here of, I wrote down like a short list. Another thing, back in Carter's time, we had a gas and oil crisis where cars were lined up for miles and people were waiting days just to get gas. That was manufactured by the Democrats too. Another, another attempt to destroy America, which he started off the bat. Very first thing. So we have this oil and gas crisis shortage, and I've worked in many fields, and let's just say I've come across people who've worked in oil and gas that have been there for 40, 50 years or something. And they said that Carter, through the EPA or whatever government agencies he can come up with, I can't remember the exact date the EPA was put into power, but they told all these oil tankers that were coming in that, hey, you can't dock because of this thing or that thing. This isn't legal, that isn't legal. So he had hundreds and hundreds of ships out in the ocean, just sitting there, not docking and dropping their oil and whatever they had, because Carter was came up with this. Oh, this is illegal and that's illegal. Everything's illegal. It's the same thing Obama did when the BP oil spill happened. Obama told everybody, nobody better go out there and clean that up. He'd get on TV and say, wow, look at this. Oh, God, BP, how dare they, so on, so on, so on. And maybe BP didn't take care of their shut-off valves or something. Of course, we can't get totally to the bottom of that because they're both covering for each other. BP's not saying certain things, so the Democrats aren't saying certain things about BP. Of course, they got a huge chunk of money out of BP for that, but they told BP, you better not go in and fix that. That has to just leak into the ocean. That's it. And finally, when the oil spill was so big, it was about to invade Mexico. Mexico was about to file a lawsuit internationally at the UN against Obama in America because all that oil was going to be washed up on their shore. So to stop that from happening, then, I don't even know what it was, weeks or a month or something later, Obama told everyone, okay, go on in, clog that and fix it. And it was fixed like within a day or three, where it was clogged and done. But this is what they do. And this is what kills me. The American people fight to be as stupid as they could be. The biggest events ever in history can happen over and over and over. And they fight with all they can to forget it. It's like, how you go to college to study to become smart. Well, Americans got this thing of they concentrate on being stupid. Because like when 9/11 happened, all the stuff that's happened, that I've told you has happened. But everybody, really? I didn't know. It's like, you got to be kidding. You don't know about that? How do you not know? You had to have heard about it or seen it somewhere. Like, well, I remember something back when, But nowadays, everybody's following the Kardashians. That's the most important thing. Or Bruce Jenner wants to be a freaking dog next week. You know, he thinks he's a half a woman now with, you know, the unit still attached. You know, but he's somehow a woman. You know, anyways, that's another one I got to do. How this next generation's they're gonna be the generation that wipes this country out, hands it over to Lucifer. Anyways, Obama fought with all he could to make sure this, you know, oil spill thing went until, you know, he was about to get sued, then said, okay, you know, clean it up. Well, it's what Carter did too. You know, Carter did what he could to destroy this country. He shut off the oil and gas, and I don't even remember what it was. It was something that came up that made him like start docking again. Like he was about to be busted, same kind of thing. He was about to get, you know, locked up, you know, whatever, charges were going to be pressed. He couldn't cover it anymore. And then he claims this, oh, look, we had a breakthrough. Now, look, we have never bought oil from Iran. You know, they claim it's because of the Iranian crisis, because they had our hostages. You know, they wouldn't sell oil to, you know, us anymore. And that's such a complete sick joke, because we've never had a contract with buying oil from Iran. We got ours from Saudi Arabia. Total different matter. And then they try to claim, well, it's because Iran wouldn't sell to anybody who was even friendly with us, so we had to take part of our share of our oil and give it to England and France and so on. It's like, no, that's total BS, because Iran would have hit the dirt in a second. You know, they would have starved to death, because it's the only thing they have bringing money in, because, you know, it's the same deal. They have to buy food from outside the country. You know, they still can't grow hardly anything there. So anyways, that's Democrats. They lie about a lie about a lie. And as long as they can get you to say okay or not say anything about it, if they could say something like, oh, well, what happened was we had to take a bunch of our oil and sell it to Iran and Iraq and whoever, you know, to help them out, you know, as long as you say okay to that, hey, as long as a lie gets made the truth or a truth gets made the lie, they're happy. That's you know, all they need. And, I mean, I don't want to go on for 6,000 years. You should get the point here. But, you know, something else, like I'm trying to go off the top of my head because there's so many things. I mean, Clinton, this is what gets me to the hypocrisy. You know, Hillary's out there trying to be a champion for women, this and that, which is a joke because, you know, look at the women that are being raped by the Muslims. I mean, Sweden is known as the rape capital of Europe now because the Muslims are raping all the white girls. And all the girls there are dyeing their hair black from blonde because, you know, that's their main girl they want to rape, is a blonde girl. In Germany, they got imams in Germany now saying, hey, German women are for nothing but for us to use for sex. And this guy's in Germany. Now, of course, Merkel, she's got to go. Man, the German people just got to stampede wherever the building is she resides in, works in, her house, and that's it. She needs to be sent back with them. The German people got to rise up and do what they got to do. I mean, now, this very second. You know, or, you know, 3 days ago, 2 weeks ago, you know, a year ago. Anyways, but that's liberals. That's liberals. As long as it's going to cost somebody else, as long as it's going to do something to somebody else, hurt them, you know, through rape, robbery, murder, whichever, they fight for it. There again, it's satanic. It's what Satan wants. You know, this is what they do. And Clinton, as he was leaving office, he gave nuclear technology to both North Korea and Iran. You know, how is he not in prison? This is what kills me. You know, Nixon had some guys go break into Watergate to look around to find something truthful, you know, and he gets pushed out of office. Clinton, you know, while he was in office, he was fighting to make sure nobody did anything to bin Laden. Bin Laden blew up the Cobalt Towers in Saudi Arabia. You know, he brought down the embassies in Kenya and Tanzania. He blew up the USS Cole. And this is what I mean about Americans fighting with all they had to be stupid as they could get. Because when 9/11 happened, everyone's like, oh, I can't believe it happened. I'm like, well, then you are a complete freaking retard because they already tried to bring the building down once. Remember in 93? Do you know who the Blind Sheikh is? And they're like, oh, I've heard of it. And these people vote. That's what kills me. To me, if you don't know what's going on, do not vote. You know? Because when you vote with your freaking ass. You know, look, Clinton got in the second time after everything he had done for the terrorists. to make sure they, got accomplished as much as they could get, and not even one of them get a freaking parking ticket. They vote him in again. And then when they looked at who voted him in, how the hell did he vote in after all this crap? It's all the women. Why'd they vote him in? Because he was better looking. I mean, that right there just told me, you know what, we just need to take women's right to vote off the freaking plate. If that's what they're going to do, if they're going to vote for mass people to be murdered, raped, tortured, because you're going to go to hell for that. I mean, you think, well, I can just vote whoever I want, it doesn't matter. No, when Judgment Day comes, you're not going to have your life played back to you, but what happened from your life, the outcome of your actions, what you did. And when you have to sit there and watch of all the people that were raped and murdered and killed and butchered, because you voted for someone just because he was better looking. I mean, you're going to get the picture of what's coming for you, what your Judgment Day is going to be like. And then you're going to try to say, well, no, it's not my fault. No, it is your fault. It doesn't say anywhere in the Bible that you could be as stupid as you could possibly be, and you'll still make it to heaven. No, you fight to be stupid, you'll pay for it. And same thing with Obama this last time around. He got elected because everyone's like, well, I just wanted to double make sure I'm not prejudiced. Well, you know what? When you're in hell and Lucifer's legions are tearing you to shreds, believe me, they'll be just saying, look, it's okay, because at least you're not racist, right? Hey, who cares that we're tearing you to shreds? I mean, this is what you voted for everybody else. This is what you wanted mass other people to get. So now it's on you, And now you're in hell, and you're here forever. But the ultimate thing is, this is cool, because at least you're not a racist, right? Because you double made sure. You double made sure that, because the most important thing in the universe is that someone that wants to sit on their ass their whole life and not do anything and blames everything on racism, that they can't call you a racist. That is the most important thing. So, okay, you know what, that guy, all those people that, use race for every single thing, they're over there. And none of them can come over here and tell you that you're a racist. So it's okay, right? I mean, that's what your eternity is going to be. So Clinton, we had CIA guys in the Middle East finding where Saddam was, because Saddam's crimes are way more than you know as well. And Bin Laden. And there was guys, one main guy named Robert Byrd, he called in to the director of CIA then and said, look, I got him. I know where he's going to be, when he's going to be there. I got the intel. I could do him. And Clinton had him arrested. Clinton said, look, if you shoot him or do anything, you're going to start a war, an illegal war. So Clinton fought to make sure Bin Laden killed every person he could and not get anything for it. Same with Saddam. It just goes on forever. And these people, they haven't, as far as I know, Bill Clinton's never even gotten a freaking ticket for it. Where no one's even said anything to him. Maybe a couple press people have asked him about it. And I've seen Clinton get in one guy's face and, I did every single thing I could. That freaking reporter should have got up and hit Clinton in the head with a freaking chair. And said, well, I did everything I could for mankind. It's that kind of thing. We have to give them back what they are dishing out, because that's the only way they're going to get it. It's like OJ. OJ's like, well, I can butcher anybody. I can do anything to anybody. You can't touch me. And now he's in prison. And now he's been there for a few. He kept that cocky attitude for a while. Another liberal. Screw you can't lock me up. I'm OJ. Don't you know who I am? That's how Democrats are. Don't you know who I am? And that's how they would be if they got locked up. But after a while, it would sink in, like it has with OJ, where now he's like, well, I'm so sorry. He won't admit to killing Ron Goldman, or any of them. It's just how they are. They just lie to no end, which is why you can't even talk to them. Because once they start on the name calling or the twisting the facts, and, another thing they do, this is like a tactic of theirs, where they'll say something that is so freaking asinine that you're like left speechless. But to them, if you don't say anything back, like if you just sit there like dumbfounded, well then they won. To them, that's right. There again, making that anything that is right wrong, anything that is wrong right, and they'll go and tell their people that, oh, I told him this or that, him or her, and they didn't say anything. So to them, they won. They're right. That's how twisted their brain is. And of course, when Lucifer grabs a hold of them and they belong to him forever, then they're going to really get the what's what. But like for an example, I'm just going to use this as an example. It's like, let's say some girl knows who and what Ted Bundy is before he's captured and put away. And Ted Bundy tells her, after not want to hear it. You know, of course, he knows what she's about to say and doesn't want to. He's like, you know what? Me murdering you girls and raping your dead bodies is the very best thing for you I could do. That's the best thing that anybody could do. Now, with anybody with any common sense is going to just stand there dumbfounded, because you're just like, I can't believe this freaking totally low-life piece of crap just said that. That's what Democrats do. They come off with these statements that are so freaking straight out of Lucifer's mouth. You know, and to them, they win. I mean, this goes for Chris Matthews. This is all of them. You know, even Fox has that. God, I can't even think of the guy's name now. It's like I try to forget him. He's a black guy that, you know, they always have him on, and he always gives a satanic view of everything, contradicts himself, lies about everything. He's like the black Alan Colmes, you know, where 2 + 2 never equals 4. It always equals 8 or -6 QF. Anyways, it's how they are. Anyways, I'm making this whole thing for the liberals to pull their heads out, because some of them don't even know how they are satanic. They somehow don't think that. They think, hey, if we're fighting for gay marriage and as many abortions as possible, all we're doing is fighting for people's rights. No, you're fighting for Lucifer, because if you read the Bible, you would know, because you would see it there, black and white, what's really what. You know, God's not going to take orders from you on Judgment Day. And nothing in this universe evolves around what you think, because that's what Democrats do. Everything is, I think this, I think that. Well, you know what? There isn't nothing in this universe that even budges a zillionth of a millimeter over what you think. You know, is either it is what it is or it isn't. You know, 2 + 2 = 4. That's it. It doesn't matter if you think it equals 5 or something, whatever else. You know, and I don't know. I'm thinking because of how stupid this country is, I just have to state, you know, as many facts as I can. I don't know how much time am I on here. Does this say? Oh, I'm already a half hour into it. So I'll try to make this as close as possible. Just right now, the biggest, I guess I got to take on the biggest thing first, and that's Hillary, because she's running for president, and how many people are, I mean, I know a good number of her people are just Satanists. They don't care what she's done or what she's not done, whether it's Benghazi setting up Chris Stevens to be murdered because he was about to tell that they were running guns to Al-Qaeda, which is what they were doing. They had him shipped